this a metal thing?
Yes.
Little taste.
David! David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Break.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, I'm just such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Horror.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk Plus. That's right, folks. We've now transcended genre boundaries and sometimes cover other horror movies. Nope, just other movies. That's right. We're genre fluid. If you don't know what that means, you're part of the problem. So make sure you rate and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Make sure to share. Also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/horrormovietalk, the equivalent of the adult section at your video rental store. If you want to leave your pee in the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. As always, we have Fart Simpson crammed into the production booth. I'm Bryce. Across from me sits two stunning little boys. We got Island Boy David Day, and I don't know what the equivalent of Ohio Boy would be. Dustin Goebel.
Creek Boy?
Well, I guess you're technically a fuck boy because you fuck hard, right?
Ooh.
Some body.
I don't know how to take that.
He's trying to
Is that a
equate
good
it to
thing?
some body of water.
Your brand on Horror Movie Talk has been pretty consistently that you fuck hard. So
Yeah,
you are
very true.
the Horror Movie Talk plus fuck boy.
My chair's broken. I'm going to try to fix it one more time. One more.
We got a great show today while David tries to fix his chair. We just covered The Hobbit, and which was notable because David's chair kept going down, over the course of the episode. But today we're going to be reviewing Shudder from 2004, the Thai movie. This was voted on by our patrons at patreon.com/horrormovietalk. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll go into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And then later on, I've got a game where I'll show you a bunch of ghost photography and we figure out whether it's real or fake ghosts. Okay.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. All right, so Shudder from 2004 can be found for free with ads on Vudu. You can also buy it or rent it on Vudu. I don't know if I couldn't see anywhere else, but it's on Vudu. So after a night out with friends, a photographer named Tun and his girlfriend Jane are driving home when they accidentally hit a woman in the street. Instead of helping her, Tun convinces Jane to run to avoid responsibility. A hit and run, as it were. In the days after, Tun starts to notice strange artifacts in his photos. They soon realize that this isn't regular photography. It's ghost photography. So as soon as the photo ghost continues to haunt them, they try to unravel the mystery behind why she is haunting them. You might be asking yourself, probably because they ran her over. Stupid. No, it's not. That has nothing to do with it.
Stupid. No, it's not.
Or maybe it does. Who knows? I mean, we'll talk about it in the spoiler section. I don't want to spoil it. It's okay. This is a pretty okay movie. In terms of horror movies, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill formula of here's a paranormal phenomena that's talked about on Discovery Channel. Let's wrap a movie around it. Type of movie. It loses points for relying way too much on ghost peekaboo and disorienting fake-outs. It's kind of in the genre of Conjuring movies where it's all about setting up jump scares or setting up creepy appearances of ghost people. I think it would have done better trying less to scare the audience with jump scares and to focus more on the drama and the mystery behind the plot, which in the end makes it pretty interesting. The repetition of jump scares and creepy photos throughout the second act are only interrupted by confusing non sequitur appearances of one of Toon's friends, Ton.
Ton and Toon.
Toon and Ton. Asking desperately for photographs before his untimely death. Photographs that we don't even understand exist or are of anything. And so there's a lot of like weird moments where you're like, wait, what? Did I miss something in the second act? And the answer is no, you didn't miss anything. They just didn't tell you what the movie's about until the third act. And then it all makes sense in the end. But the pacing, the editing were off, and it feels like the first half of the movie crashed into a second movie halfway through. Like they decided to be like, maybe we need more than just ghost photography and having a ghost haunt him. Maybe we should like have a backstory. And they're like, okay, we can do that. And then they shot the rest of the movie. The story behind the ghost is the most compelling part of the movie, and unfortunately they leave most of that until the third act. And really the last like 15 minutes of the movie, really. Overall, it was an interesting story with pacing issues, but it's still a pretty short movie at an hour and a half. So it never really outstayed its welcome. It was worth the wait for the end, but it's overall kind of an average horror movie for me, so I give it a score of 5 out of 10. What say you, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean this is a pretty average film, like you said, I think. And you like when I'm seeing this film, you have to compare it to Ring and The Grudge and anything with scary Asians with long hair that come after you. And I think as far as the scares go, this kind of lacked in comparison to those films. I mean, it was just kind of this blank stare ghost lady who's kind of, just kind of creepily looking at you. And there didn't seem like there was a whole lot of, I don't know, dread when it came to like what they can do to you, other than just like people offing themselves because they're scared or whatever. I don't want to.
Yeah, and even that comes really late. Like, there's no real menace other than like, I'm scared, I'm spooked.
Yeah. So with that being said, like, I feel like it was just lacking in the scare department. It just wasn't hitting all the marks there. As far as the story goes, I think the story was a little bit better than, say, The Ring or The Grudge, because it gave a little information into the haunter. There was some entanglement in there, and it wasn't just like a curse or something like that. So as far as a score, also like the camera work was, I don't know if it was voodoo or what, but everything seemed like it wasn't color corrected yet. It was it seemed more low budget than before, with The Ring and like Grudge and all those. So final score, I'd probably give it a 6.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I don't know what the whole context of it is, but probably the only real reason we know about this movie is it probably was riding the wave of The Ring and The Grudge, because there's definitely another, soggy-haired Asian ghost creeping after him and putting her fingers over the edge of something and peeking over.
This also got a American remake that I did watch that prior to this one, and I think that was way worse.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's interesting because I haven't seen it, but I watched some clips on IMDb of the remake, and it fixed a couple of just from the 2 clips that I saw, it fixed one of the glaring issues with the plot for me, which is hitting the girl in the beginning of the movie and then like kind of leaving that as an unanswered question.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more obvious in the remake that something else is going on with the girl that they hit with the car. But that's interesting that it's worse.
In my opinion, I don't know.
You know, to something that Dustin said, it's just lacking in the scares department. It kind of occurs to me that if you're going to have a movie like this where it's like a haunting sort of situation, it needs to do one of two things. It either needs to build an incredibly tense, kind of quiet, spooky atmosphere, like just very, very well, or it needs to go absolutely balls to the wall. Like it needs to go bonkers, 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 like Dash Cam, where it's just it just doesn't let you rest at all. It's just like, does it kind of sag instead of doing one of those things?
Yeah, it gets really repetitive. Like it's literally like, you know, you pick up the stock setup and execution of a, you know, someone's not there. Are they there though? Yes, they're there. Like, and it has the mechanism in this movie of taking photos to reveal ghosts are there because they got some Polaroid cameras, and like that's used a lot, you know.
That's kind of the worst offense that a movie can do is just the same trick over and over again until it ends.
Right, and it gets like when it changes up, it's like it doesn't really have much of a reason other than like, well, we got to do something else at least. You know, that's the sense that you get. But anyways, let's get into the spoilers. But first, if you're listening to commercials or if you heard any commercials, did you hear commercials? Mm-hmm. Loser. You're not one of our patrons. If you were one of our patrons at a certain level, you'd be able to skip all these commercials and me demeaning you. So go to patreon.com/horror movie talk and sign up to get early access to episodes without commercials.
And less demeaningness.
And less spite from Bryce, apparently. Also check out our shop at horrormovietalk.com/shop. You can get our logo tees, some stickers, and whatever else we got left there. And all of that artwork is drawn by our very own Dustin Goebel. Dustin, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Yeah, you can catch me at dgoebel00 on Instagram. I'm super busy all the time doing stuff, so be patient, please. Yeah, until I run out of money, and then I'll come crawling back to you.
Do you still get commissions from HMT fans?
It's been a while. It's been probably 3 or 4 months because I've been working on a lot of different side projects. I kind of got involved with a children's book with kind of a well-known IP in UK, and so I'm on like the 4th book there for illustration, and then I'm also doing like beer labels and stuff like that right now. So I'm keeping busy.
What's the UK IP?
So it's the Wombles. It's kind of like Fraggle. It's like Fraggle Rock, but it's all these little like rat people that are running around trying to save the world by recycling.
So it's like Captain Planet, but Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Nice.
Can we? We're fucking done. Everybody knows you recycle. Also, everybody knows most things that they tell you to recycle are just thrown away in a fucking garbage dump anyway. Can we fucking not? Like, you cannot recycle petroleum products. Fuck off. You can't. It can't be done. Why are we still pushing it?
Do you want to tell David about recycling and express your
I'll
opinions?
give you I'll send you a few of these books here, David.
Is it big oil that's is it oil that's employing you? Is it BP or
Yeah,
Like,
did Big Oil get to you?
Big.
Yeah.
I will not say that.
is it Pemex?
It's Big Wombles got to
You
him.
can say it.
The big Wombles. The Queen.
Call 682-253-4468 to express your opinion on recycling. And thank you again for listening. Let's get into spoilers.
Spoilers, you cannot recycle petroleum byproducts. You can't do it. It's not possible. It was invented by an oil corporation to make you feel good about buying tons and tons of plastic. That doesn't break down. So stop it. Like your glass, no, that's not polluting the earth. You know, aluminum, great. That's the one that's pretty good. But you can't recycle plastic. Trees
You can
regrow.
repurpose it. You can repurpose it. You can melt it, some stuff down.
Reuse
Yeah,
it, man.
Repurpose it.
You could probably turn it into napalm if you wanted to, but bad news. It was a bad idea, and it's being covered up by Big Oil and probably Dustin.
Our patrons that don't have ads are very confused right now at the sudden shift. The
Like,
sudden
whoa,
shift in
David
tone.
came out of fucking nowhere with these recycling bullshit. No, it's true. You could take that to the bank.
No, that's like one of the late stage capitalism realizations of like, oh, everything's horrible and there's no hope for overturning global warming. Is like, oh yeah, the thing that you did have control over, which was like put your cans and your plastic bottles in a box, like that did nothing. That's in a landfill in China somewhere, idiot.
Bryce, I got more. I got. On top of that bad news, I got good news. Ask me about global warming. Okay, so Shudder, 2004. It's about spooky spooks.
Yep, spooky stuff, cameras.
Spooky spooks. So yeah, it starts out with a party with friends, with like a bunch of bros taking his girlfriend.
So
And
this
then-
Ton fella, is he a big guy?
No,
No.
he's a normal sized guy.
Weird name.
And he drives off with his girlfriend and run over a pedestrian and
Oh shit.
That's
move on completely. The entire like first couple scenes of this movie really don't matter at all. It's surprising at how little they matter. That the hit and run isn't actually a hit and run. Like by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, they didn't actually hit a girl. They hit a ghost.
She was a ghost.
Yeah.
So
Street
it
ghost.
served no purpose other than to intrigue you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, well, that's a good purpose.
It was a red herring hit and run. It's a red herring
Hit
and
and
run.
ton. Hit and ton.
Yeah. It was a hit and ton.
A hit and ton. A ton and run.
But after, for some reason, this was the impetus for all these ghosts to show up in photos. Like, the movie tells you it's attached to this hit and run because obviously there's some dead girl somewhere and now they're haunting his photos. But it's just a coinky dink.
So this ghost plays a trick on somebody and then gets mad at them for taking it seriously? That's like
Pretty much. That's what you assume for most of the movie. That was the one thing in the clip that I saw of the remake was that they don't, like, a girl appears in the middle of the street, but then it like cuts back and forth, and the girl is on the hood looking at him.
This
like,
ghost is
menacingly, and it looks much more like a ghost. So it's like, oh, it's clear that that's not just someone you murdered. That's, something's happening here. And when the girl disappears, they don't see her in the background lying dead on the ground, which was an interesting take for the ghost in this movie, is that the ghost played possum.
Dead.
Yeah.
So
You don't see a lot of ghosts play dead. I think their whole thing is that they're showing you that they're not dead. But this one lied in the street and made them feel real guilty about hitting them.
Well, also it calls into question the motivations for the ghost, which is strange. Like, you never see a ghost whose whole motivation is literally just emotional entrapment. It's just, it's just like, yeah, but you thought I was dead and you left. It's like, you were dead. Yeah, but you did the wrong thing, according to me. Like,
having not seen it, David, you're right on track. This ghost is about emotional entrapment.
The emotional entrapment ghost.
You're not even far off. So, yeah, these like weird white streaks start showing up in Tun's photography, and it's like every other ghost photography that you've seen. It's like, is that something, or like an after effect of the photograph, or like, and then if it's a face, it's like a really blurry face behind someone's head, and it's only like half a nose. And it really reminded me of Sightings, the old show. Like, did you guys have a phase where you watched paranormal shows? And what shows were those for you?
I think I watched Ghost Hunters a couple of times, but I never really got into the whole thing. I mean, there's only so many times you can watch them go into a room with like some meters and shit and be like, "Are you there?" And they hear like some rustling. They're like, "Oh shit, for sure, there's a ghost in here."
Yeah. In the mid-aughts, like between 2003 and 2007, 8, 9, when these shows were really first starting and then like becoming mainstream, when the Discovery Channel and TLC were making their transition into just garbage media, these were like front runners. This format of shows were like the front runner of transforming the Discovery Channel from something that would teach you how fast cheetahs can run and the lifespan of an orca to literally just like watching 3 guys alone in a dark house with a 4th guy that's never been shown on camera throwing things at them. Like,
here, let me reenact a scene from Ghost Hunters. Like, this house, this studio was reportedly haunted by a Union general from the Civil War era. He made his escape to Vancouver, Washington for some reason, but his spirit is here today. So I'm gonna spirit of Union ghost. You're a piece of shit. Listen close. What? Something's here.
Oh, yeah. It's like another guy in the other room throwing cans at him,
right?
And they'd be like, yeah. And now, I mean, dude,
I just got Diet Coke on my screen.
Well, that's terrifying. My mother-in-law would have this shit on in the background non-stop. It was just required.
Yeah, I think it. So I mean, it's an age thing. Like, if you get into it when you're 12 to 14, I believe is like the golden age. If there is some kind of paranormal show, I think I was just the right age when Sightings came out and Unsolved Mysteries, and I think after that it moved from like documentary or kind of news magazine type shows to fictional shows like X-Files and what's the other one that came on later with Joshua Jackson in it, who was in the remake of Shudder. What's that show I'm thinking of?
You're talking here, but I have a consideration, which is, Bryce and I grew up on the West Coast.
Fringe is the show I was thinking of.
That was a good show. Bryce and I grew up on the West Coast. It's the new coast, It's the cool coast, the hip coast. We don't have a lot of history here compared to Midwest and East Coast. I don't feel like we have a lot of haunted bullshit out here. Well, whatever we do have is somewhat manufactured or at least kind of novel. So is there like just a plethora of haunted bullshit out where in Columbus or in Ohio, generally speaking?
I don't think in Columbus, really, off the top of my head. I know there's some like scary stories. In Mansfield, there's the prison that was in Shawshank. That supposedly was haunted, I think. My hometown, we had this cemetery called Buck Cemetery, and I remember when I grew up, everyone told me it was haunted. And so we would take like hay rides and stuff and go out there on Halloween and scare the shit out of everybody. So, yeah, but I think that's more of a South thing, like Louisiana and stuff like that. There's a lot of
it's curious
shit and.
Yeah, it's curious that all of the hauntings are from the oldest area of the oldest white people that live there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and, in the East Coast, it's like Confederate soldiers, Revolutionary War ghosts. In the West, it's like, we got some Shanghai tunnels. There's some prospector ghosts somewhere. Someone's in a hotel. And in England, it's like, oh, yeah, this is Henry VIII's wife's ghost. It's like, oh well, shit, they got us on that one. It's never like in the West Coast, like, oh yeah, there's a old Indian ghost that's all over here. It's like maybe it's just white people have the ghost problem.
Why does it
I
go?
guess that's not true. I guess the Thai people have it too. So who knows?
Yeah. A lot of Asian horror a lot of it is focused around hauntings and that kind of bullshit. But where's the Native American ghost? Where's the First Nations ghosts?
Right. Yeah. Anyways, it's getting back to it. Like I used to watch Sightings, and it was a show that would just show paranormal stuff, and so it would cycle through all of the like topics. So there'd be like aliens, and there'd be like poltergeists and ghosts, and everything having to do with ghosts. You always had the standard things of like, okay, you can put a microphone in a room and overanalyze a knocking or some like low sound that sounds kind of like a voice if you reverse it and slow it down and amplify certain frequencies. And then you got the good old ghost photography, which is a photograph with something weird in it. Like right behind. Can you see behind?
Oh!
Oh!
I didn't notice that.
There was a door back there.
And so, I mean, this is just basically taking that phenomenon and building a movie off of it. A lot of the stuff, like once you get to the end, like the beginning and throughout the movie, it makes a lot more sense, but they don't make a big enough deal about some of this stuff that they should by the end of the movie. Like the kind of the funny thing to me is they make a thing about his neck at the end of the movie, as like that's definitely a thing related to the haunting, to where it's just kind of like he gets his neck checked.
Yeah,
and he goes to the doctor, and there's nothing abnormal about that,
yeah,
other than his neck is fine. It's like,
he assumes
okay.
It's the accident. I think he's like, "Oh, my neck! It hurts so bad after this accident." And
yeah, you don't have to be a Sherlock. It's called whiplash.
Yeah.
Like, do they not have whiplash in Thailand?
I don't know.
So, and then a lot of the stuff is like kind of obvious, like. They see this woman's face in the photographs, and they're like, who is that woman? Do you think she's dead? The woman that we ran over in the car? Do you think that's possible that she could be dead and is haunting our photos? So sure big head scratcher. And eventually they take it to the... Oh, yeah, this is the interesting part was where they have like the actual exposition about this stuff is June finds a kind of a tabloid magazine with ghost photography in it, and then kind of hunts down the editor of it. So one of these kind of Weekly World News or, National Enquirer, where they're showing ghost photos. And there's this great moment where they're just like shown someone photoshopping one of these ghost photos.
Yeah.
And they talk to a guy like, so are any of them real? And he's like, sure, maybe, I don't know. Like this is, and then he like does the expedition dump of like, here are the circumstances in which a ghost might come back. Why would the dead return to the living without a message to oh Jesus, my autocorrect fucked this up. Oh yeah. So he posed the question, why would the dead return to the living without a message to convey? And then usually people that are found in the picture are someone related to them or someone maligned or something like that. And so they make it a point of like, this person is appearing in the photo because they're related to you or you maligned them, which is like, yeah, you fucking ran over her. That's why. Like it's not much of a mystery. But then they like try to construct this mystery in like the latter second act and into the third act. So it's just a bunch of weird choices to set it up in a certain way and not sow the seeds of what they actually deliver on in the end. Were there any scenes or any of the scares that were effective to you, Dustin?
So my favorite scene in this entire movie is the bathroom scene. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
And super scary. It's like the scariest thing. So the main character, Ton, he's taking a dump, right? Probably like
It shows this?
Ton of what?
It shows this?
It shows his asshole.
He's in a public
releasing.
bathroom. So you're taking a massive shit if you're in a public bathroom.
Okay.
It's
Why
an
don't they
emergency, obviously.
why don't they throw some fart sounds in there?
Right.
That would have made it
They
better.
do actually in this one.
Probably would have gave it a 7.
Mm-hmm. You hear him shit. You definitely
You
do
do?
hear him
Oh.
shit. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So, anyways, he's got the toilet paper, right? He's looking at it. He starts rolling it. Uh-oh. He doesn't have enough toilet paper. He sees this dark little shadow, right? Like, looks like someone's kind of creeping in on his door, and he's like, whoa, wait. But they go into the next stall, right? So he knocks on the stall. And he's like, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Do you have any toilet paper?" And the hand comes down with the toilet paper, and it's got fingernail polish. Oh shit! Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's scary.
Creepy ghost fingernail polish, supposedly.
Maybe.
Wait.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
It's
it.
a woman's hand.
That's it. No, he he gets really scared, frustrated, mad. So he comes out and he kicks the door down, and there's a trans person there, and says, "Hey, you want to wait until I get done pooping?" And then he runs. Then he runs out of the bathroom. That's the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Are you gaslighting me right now?
No,
I have no way to know if this is real.
No, that's in the movie. It's great. I laughed really hard.
Well, how do you know
It
it's
was
a
pretty
trans
funny.
person? How do you know it's a trans person?
I mean,
Well, in
I could be
Thailand,
wrong.
they prefer to be called ladyboys, I believe.
How do you know it's a ladyboy?
I would say the voice octave was a little lower when she talked. And,
Right. And she was in the men's bathroom.
And she
Was
in the
this
men's
hilarious or
bathroom. I mean, I thought it was
truly
funny.
scary?
It was funny.
Okay.
I mean, it's played for laughs, definitely. But like, it's a wow. It is the goofiest moment in the movie as well. There's not a lot of levity throughout the movie, but that's one of them.
Yeah,
you
so
know-
that was my favorite scare.
a lot of these a lot of these Asian horror movies just do not have any levity at all. And I think that makes them a lot more oppressive and frankly scarier because they just keep that super serious tone throughout. I know, Dustin, you've watched a lot of, compared to us, like we just, we just have not covered that much Asian horror. And I think you have. What are some of the scarier installments of Asian horror that you've seen, or at least your favorites?
I remember. See, it's been a while since I've kind of stepped back into that, but The Tale of Two Sisters is really good. Things like Audition is pretty good. I am very afraid of like The Grudge for some reason, like Ju-on. I have no idea why. I I
It
had
works.
I had an Asian roommate in college, and I think that has something to do with it. Like I watched those movies, and then I kept thinking that she was sneaking into my room late at night. So I think that might have something to do with it. Uh, so like The Ring. Uh,
No.
Was your roommate always perpetually soggy?
no, she was dry a lot of the times, I think.
That would have been terrifying.
like,
If she was
wake up-
like her hair was soggy and she left wet footprints wherever she went.
You like wake up in the middle of the night and you just see her and you're like, just shit. You're like,
Exactly.
oh man. Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
she didn't. When she comes out of the bathroom, after a shower, she doesn't just come out in a bathrobe. She's on all fours, crawling with her wet hair hanging down.
Yeah, what is it about? Well, look, I mean, at first glance, the thing that people are going to want to do is be like, that's racist. But there's something going on in even the American remakes of Asian horror movies, which is it uses specific archetype of ghost, which is black hair, typically Asian, like in The Grudge, not Ju-on. In the American remake, it uses, an Asian female. And in The Ring, it's hard to tell, but it's, it could be argued that it's a Caucasian person. But it's almost impossible to tell because she has, wet black hair over her face all the time, a la The Grudge, or otherwise. So there's some sort of trope going on there, which is Asian women are scary or something like that. I'm not sure, but if you watch any of the Grudge movies, it's definitely a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah, it's
it's just
definitely a
women.
trope. So moving on through the movie, like they decide that these ghost photos must contain some kind of message, and June decides to decipher that. And I think in a bunch of photos that Tun took of this graduation, it wasn't very clear from the editing, and I could only assume that what she was seeing from the effect of the next scene was her in the science building, but I guess the white little wavy lines were pointing to a certain floor in this building. If I was the ghost, I would do a much more traditional arrow, pointing, but to each their own. I almost wonder if as I was watching that, because it was zooming in on all these photos and she was like aligning the photos to like show some kind of trail of this white flash, and I'm like, does that say anything in Thai writing or what? Because it just looked like wavy lines. Mm-hmm. And then she just goes like, oh, that means that it's pointing to this floor. And then she goes up and discovers like these pictures of this honor student that she recognizes as the girl that they ran over, which is weird because they never really get a clear shot of her, but I guess the flashback shows that she sees her face, which makes sense that you might not forget someone's face that you run over. But then she like sees that she was in classes with Tun and his friends, I think, in these photos. And so she goes back to Tun and like asks him like who this girl was. and Ton knew about her but was being a little evasive about going into details. And then this is when Ton shows up. Not to be confused with Ton. This is Ton now.
Yeah, Tom.
And that's one of his friends. And he's frantic and panicked for some reason and is asking Ton for photos. And then pretty much immediately commits suicide the next scene. And you're like, okay, what? Did I miss something? The answer's no. They don't mention any of his friends between the opening scene and this guy showing up.
Yeah.
No mention, no appearance by any of his friends other than this guy that shows up and then promptly commits suicide. And then it's just revealed through dialogue that also, oh, by the way, Ton's fiance or wife tells Ton, oh, by the way, all your other friends committed suicide too. So, yeah, what's going on with you? Why are all your friends committing suicide? She just blames it on him. And you're like, okay, this is an interesting bit of new information that we get like 50 minutes into this film.
Yeah, not
And
to
so
mention,
it
like
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
opening scene was like very small. I mean, maybe
right.
like 5 lines. They take a few shots and then that's it. So I kind of forgot that he had friends outside of his girlfriend.
Right. Yeah, it was very much like, ha ha ha, isn't drinking fun? We are friends. Okay, moving on with the movie now. It's literally what that scene was. And so there's all this intrigue, and it's suggested, it's told, not shown, that they are committing suicide, something to do with Ton. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm on board with this. And then the third act is the big reveal that this girl that is haunting them, Ton knew and used to have a relationship with her. And probably the most interesting stuff starts around here, where they go and track down this girl. I can't remember what her name is. It's like Nadja Nate something.
Tune.
Ton. It's Tan.
Tan.
No.
Ton.
It's
Tune.
oh, what's her name? Fuck. Ton Jane. Natre. It's spelled Natre. I'll go with Nader. Nader? Nader. I don't know. Uh-oh. David, you're muted.
I said, ooh, we're getting close. You better stop that.
So, Nader is this girl that he dated, but on the DL. Like, he didn't want anyone to know that he was dating her because he felt sorry for her, I guess, and probably because he got fucked, if we're being honest. And there's so there's something there, and they go visit her mom, and her mom's like, oh, Nader? Oh, yeah, she's upstairs napping. And you're like, what the fuck? So Nader could be alive, and then they go upstairs and check, and it's like a Psycho kind of scene where Nader is like this desiccated body in a bed. And you're like, oh, shit. This is all your fault, Mom. You didn't have a funeral for Nader, and she's haunting us, you stupid bitch. And so they have a funeral for her and like cremate her, and you're like, oh, well, that's all good.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have a quick question. If you're cremated, are you more or less likely to haunt someone? You know what I mean? There's a feeling, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say less.
Less
I'm gonna
likely.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Dustin?
Yeah, let's go with less.
If there's a body hanging out underground somewhere,
Yeah.
it just feels like there's probably a spirit hanging out too. You get rid of that body, you turn it into some other stuff,
Right.
smoke and
Recycle.
ash and shit. You're kind of letting it go, letting whatever's in there out.
Well, there's one ghost rule is that a ghost is always trying to lead you to their body too. You know, like that's a trope where like there's got to be the reveal of like, oh, this is where the body was the whole time. It's the ghost body. He just wanted me to show. It was show and tell for his body. So if you get rid of the body, there's no opportunity for show and tell, and then the ghosts just go home.
It's like going on a date with a guy. It's all leading somewhere. We all know where. You know, he's all
right.
He's just trying to get you to look at his wiener. That's it.
Right.
Just, hey,
right.
Take a look at this. I've been on a lot of dates with guys.
So that happens, and you think like, okay, well that's done with, but no, David, they're not. The ghost is not done with them. The ghost haunts them more.
Ah!
And it gets even a little more confusing. It starts entering into like it really uses confusing editing techniques and like a lot of like fake outs and stuff in this third act. But probably one of the most interesting scenes is Ton is being basically chased after by this ghost, and he's trying to escape his apartment, which is on the 4th floor, and it shows him like running down the stairs, but he always lands on the 4th floor. Like, so it's this liminal space horror, which is ahead of its time. I can't think of anything.
What's a liminal space?
Liminal space is like the transitionary spaces. So
like
it's
an
like
entryway?
hallways. Say again?
Like an entryway?
Yeah, like an entryway, or like when you're moving from one space to another. And so there's a lot, like right now, and I guess in the early 2000s, I just finished a book that was all about this. But it's like, you know that that YouTube kind of meme, the hallways? Is that what it's called? Or it's a lot in a lot of games now where you go through a door, but the door behind you disappears, kind of thing, or like it's an endless series of hallways that go to nothing, kind of thing.
Yeah. There's one game out.
Yeah, I forced you to play that game. Remember on Switch, David? It was like PT.
Well, yeah.
And you had a heart attack.
Right.
Horrible. That was the scariest fucking shit. Like, in terms of scary games, that was fucking terrifying, right?
That was pretty scary.
It was scary as fuck. Ugh.
So it goes from that to him trying to climb out the side of the building on a ladder on the side of the building, and it kind of plays that game a little more, where it's like he's trapped on this ladder and it shows that he's on the ground, but he's not actually on the ground. He's still on the ladder. And all this is done with the knowledge that his friends all committed suicide. So you're like, okay, well, he's going to be shoved off and killed by this scary ghost. And you'll never guess what happens.
No.
He's shoved off by the scary ghost. But he's not killed. He survives just long enough for his wife or his girlfriend to find the photos that explain everything about the movie, which is he had these photos of his friend's Nader, the girl, the ghost. And so that explains, like, oh, Ton was looking for those photos, and the ghost is haunting them because she was by his friends. And you're given this, like, flashback of it happening, and it's kind of weird that they, like, make Ton still a little sympathetic in the retelling of this, because it's like, oh, his friends were his girlfriend, but he didn't want them to know that she was his girlfriend, and they basically shamed him into taking photos of her, but he didn't like it. He didn't like taking the photos, so poor him, I guess. It's like that's probably one of the most unbelievable things, is like, you're trying to say, like, in the moment he was like submitting to peer pressure of like, I don't want to, you know, rock the boat. I better just take these photos of this happening in front of me.
Well, he's complicit.
So that it's not awkward.
So that it's not awkward.
And it's like, no, you tell, if you see your friend, girlfriend, you should stop it. I think that's kind of what most guys would do, whether they're trying to keep them secret or not. Because you can also just say, hey guys, bad just in general, so let's stop this girl that I don't really know. Wink, wink. Sorry, I'll do a David wink. So it's weird that they try to maintain Tun's kind of like sympathetic nature, but I'm glad that his girlfriend leaves him in the end because of it. Because it's like, yeah, you're a bad person.
Yeah, I think you're kind of like rooting for Tan for the first half of the film. So I think they're just trying to let everybody down easy. Mm-hmm. Like, he's kind of a dick.
So throughout the movie, does it earn this at all? Does it show Tun as having ambiguous morals, not not really
well, not really. Yeah, I mean, I guess there
following
are some
through on doing the right thing throughout.
I mean, here's the thing, like, it doesn't go very hard into it, but if you look at it, it's like, yeah, he did tell his girlfriend to keep driving after they hit someone with their car, which is not the most morally ambiguous thing. That you could probably just say, like, hey, that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
So there are, that's like the main instance, but then throughout the rest of the movie, it's not like, it's portrayed as like, oh, that was just a bad decision in the moment, and now they're suffering the consequences of it. But no, there's not really much where it's like something's going on here with Tun, other than he's not being very forthcoming about this stuff that's revealed in the end. So it's not that they don't do it at all. It's just, for me, they don't set it up enough. It's not like a perfect, like, setting up the tee and whacking it at the end. But yeah, I think that's one of my issues. I think they could have done better with it. Same thing with his friends. They should have utilized the friend group more, because that would have highlighted, like,
sure,
this dynamic of, like, he's a real bro around his friends, but when he's with me, he's such a nice guy, you know? And that would have, like, emphasized that he's used to leading two separate lives and has two kind of moral compasses. A movie that this reminds me of a lot is It Lies Beneath, which is a great movie. I don't think we ever actually reviewed that one. I watched it recently, though. But that's got Harrison Ford as one of the leads in this movie, this
Michelle
haunting
Pfeiffer.
movie. Yeah.
You don't see
and then in the end,
much.
you find out that, spoilers, Harrison Ford actually murdered this girl, and the girl is haunting their house.
Whoa.
And throughout the whole thing, you're like, Harrison Ford's character is kind of shady or dismissive of his wife and, like, her worrying about these hauntings. And it sets it up much more that, like, no, he's hiding this and trying to keep people from finding out what went on. And it doesn't do that in this movie as well.
Maybe, do you suppose it just got lost in translation? You know, sometimes a little translation thing, no? Okay.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it's hard to tell from their facial expressions. I'm not used to it.
It's true.
I mean, that is a thing, right? Like, that's why it's a phenomenon. That's why people say, like, oh, all these people of this race look alike. It's because you're not used to seeing the differences in certain kinds of faces or certain kinds of expressions. So there might be something lost in translation, but it's not someone as woke as me.
I just don't see color, so I can't relate to what you're talking about.
I didn't even realize they were Taiwanese. So,
well,
and then the last, like, cherry on top of it was, and the last thing that they just don't really even try to set up is he discovers that his neck hurts because his dead girlfriend is sitting on his neck the whole time.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
Which would have been so much more effective if they had used that more throughout, of just like having him weighed down in the neck and just be like, oh, it's fucking whiplash.
Oh, my neck.
Being oppressed by it, but it's like, anyways.
Yeah.
It was okay. Anything else we should cover, Dustin?
No, not really. Like I said, the scares were kind of tame. They should have leaned more into the supernatural and kind of went bonkers with it, like how you were saying, David, I think. Like they did a few things. The ghost was standing on the ceiling, walking towards them at one point. That was kind of all right. Yeah, the rest of it. Oh, there was like a car scene that was kind of cool where she was hanging on the hood and he was going like 120 miles an hour and she's just kind of like chilling outside. Can't get away from her. But yeah, it was pretty. Outside of like the little story twists and turns there, it's kind of lame.
Well,
Let's play this game. What's this game
I
about?
just realized. Hold on. I need to. Okay, good. I found it. All right, so for this game, it's going to be real or fake ghosts photos. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to maximize your screen.
Okay, so here is our first entry. This photo is supposedly of a family that was haunted in a new development, a new housing development. Real or fake?
I'm gonna go out on a limb for reasons that I will describe after once you reveal. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is real.
Dustin?
Boy, let me look at this. So I do a lot of Photoshop. Let me see here. Boy, that poltergeist is pretty scary. I'm gonna say fake.
It's fake. Dustin wins.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say it's real, and I will describe why. Because this had to take place in 1982 on a soundstage in order for it to be photographed. So
No, it's fake.
technically it's real.
Next photo.
Wait, was
this
that
image-
from Poltergeist? That's what I was.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Okay.
This image purports to show Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of Henry VIII, who was executed for adultery in 1542. She's said to haunt the horn room at the Hampton Court Palace.
Well, I can
Real or fake?
You go ahead first, Dustin.
I don't know this movie, so I'm gonna say it's real.
It's.
Hey,
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Wait, are
David,
all
go
these
ahead.
fake?
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm going to go ahead and say that you said this was the horn room, and yet all I see on the wall are antlers.
Damn it.
So this is fucking fake. Those aren't
Fake.
horns. Thank you.
As you can see from the scale, this woman is way too small for that banister.
True.
Can you guys actually are you doing full screen?
Yeah.
Can you actually see the full photo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I
I'm
made
seeing
you
it.
big.
All right. Next photo.
Whoa.
Two boys sit happily on their mother's laps, but a pretty terrifying, unexpected guest has also dropped in, hanging disturbingly from the rafters. Real or fake?
Yeah, I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to say that's not a... Well... I'm going to say that's real. This looks pretty real to me. What do you think, Dustin?
Let me see here. Boy. Let's go with I'm gonna go real too.
It's fake.
Ah, Jesus.
All right, next photo. Oh shit. Shit. Okay, in 1987, Mrs. Sayers was visiting an airfield in England with her friend. She thought it'd be fun to take a photo of her sitting in the cockpit, and when it was developed, you see a ghostly image in the pilot's seat. And he wasn't there when the photo was taken. Is this real or fake?
This is you. This is you, Dustin. You go ahead.
Boy, I'm bad at this, but I'm gonna say this is fake too.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. You are bad at this. I'm going to say this is fake.
You're both right. It's fake.
Are all these fake? Is this the joke?
Dustin?
You
This is no joking.
Okay,
matter.
I'm sorry.
Everybody knows
here
I'll be
on
serious.
Horror Movie Talk Plus.
Horror Movie Talk Plus is about bringing people real stuff
Got you.
all the
Got
time.
you.
All the words we say, we mean them all.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
If they were all fake, would you call us journalists?
Journalists,
I don't think so.
Dustin.
All right, so only like can't. Let's see. So if you see in this photo, Ike Canton's friend was seen when this photo was taken. The mysterious man wearing a hat behind him wasn't.
Oh,
Canton later looked more closely at the photo and decided the figure was in fact holding a knife with a point ending just above his collar.
Look at that guy back
Real
there.
or fake?
That looks, that looks like a real person back there behind him. I don't think it's a ghost, so I guess we're asking if it's a ghost. I'm going to say fake because I think it's a person.
Dustin?
Yeah, so with the one with the staircase and the banister, she was super small. This guy's even smaller. So I'm going to go with fake as well.
What did you say, David?
I said fake.
It's fake.
Very good.
All right, last
I'm
one.
pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at this.
I think we're getting a little too good at this. So last one. This is the famous photo taken by Ed and Lorraine Warren, which claims to show the ghost of a 9-year-old John DeFeo, who, along with his brother, 2 sisters, and parents, were killed by his older brother Ronald at the house in Amityville. Based on the Amityville horror was based off of this image and the story behind it. What say you, real or fake?
Yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
Straight to the point, fake.
This looks like Skinamarink, so I'm also going to say fake.
Well, shocking to hear, but it's fake. They're all fake. There's no such thing as ghosts, and there's no such thing as ghost photography.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think
So-
about that?
Come at me, bro. Show me your ghost photos, and I'll tell you that they're fake.
So, you don't believe in ghosts, Bryce?
Not really. Not now. I think I've gone on the record of saying I want to believe, but I think as the older I get, the more I realize the people that can see ghosts and do see ghosts and tell you all about it veer more into the charlatan or like gullible route. I think the one thing that like really made it jump the shark for me is I went on a ghost tour of Portland.
You've only been on one?
I've only been on one.
Wow.
And it was like,
Yeah, that'll
because
really
they show
take
you
the-
around some old buildings in Portland, and then they take you into the Shanghai tunnels, which apparently is like the most common thing in the world if you're in a town over 50 years old. And like he had the full thing where he had like the divining rods, and then they had like a little kind of makeshift seance, and we were all trying to communicate, with these divining rods. And then all of a sudden, one of the women in the group started getting messages or started having things happen to her. And I was like, oh, this is just for people that want attention. They just take advantage. It's the same thing with a Ouija board. It's like, oh, what you find out is that there's not actually ghosts. There's just, in every group of 4 people, there's going to be one person that wants attention and wants to control the perception of others. It's like, that's what it is.
I think what you're forgetting is very simple, is believe all women.
That was my mistake, is that I didn't believe women. Oh.
Yeah, well,
High five! Come on, bros.
you live, you learn. You know.
It was kind of interesting. I was going to compile a different game, which is like, realizing there's actually a pretty good genre of horror movies that are just, basically the horrors of toxic masculinity or the horrors of men in general. Like, there's not a lot of stories where the cause of the horror or the person actually infiltrating it is not a man. Like, I thought of, like, It Lies Beneath, and Shudder, and a lot of stuff was like, oh, this ghost is haunting you because this man did a horrible thing to this person. Or it's like a guy gaslighting people, or just straight up, a monster murderer like Jason or, Michael Myers just hunting people down.
That's true.
I was trying, because that was like an interesting thing. I was wanting to make a list of like horror movies that are surrounding men gaslighting people into thinking that they're a good guy. And actually they're the reason why the horror exists. Usually it's not the main character, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, in like Poltergeist, it's the developer. It's like, yeah, we're doing good things. Don't worry, we didn't build over an Indian burial ground.
Hubris.
Yeah. Anyways, interesting stuff. Thanks so much for you all listening. This episode was edited by Fart Simpson. Thanks to our new patrons, to our patrons that voted for us. Some of the new ones are Gissel R, Spooky Tooth, Mitch B, and Caesar A. Please share the podcast with a friend. Help us out by going to horrormovietalk.com and clicking through and all the good stuff. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thank you so much, Dustin, for coming on. Do you have anything you want to plug?
No, just the Instagram, Goebel, DGOEBEL00 on Instagram.com. Check me out.
Alrighty. Until next time, we'll see y'all. Bye.
Bye. Have a good week. We love you. Bye.
Good day, sir. Good day, sir. You lose. You get nothing. Is that the main cup? Yes, it is.
Sent a stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face.
Horror!
Wow, that didn't sound good.